Hey guys, what's up, how's it going? My name is Rob and welcome back once again for another video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing the monthly update for our entire stock portfolio. What I'm going to start doing that I used to do back in the day that I kind of stopped doing, but I'm going to start doing again, is at the end of every month, I'm going to give you guys a complete 100% update on my entire basically net worth and holdings and my entire stock portfolio, and just kind of give you guys an update on all my different accounts and whatnot. I show you guys how my income has been growing, and I'm going to start kind of tracking that. If you guys follow my channel normally, I've been kind of doing a dividend investing case study, which is a smaller portfolio that I first started building in 2020. But what I really want to start doing is at the end of every single month, give a recap of my entire portfolio. And just to give you guys a little bit of reference, I first started investing in 2019, and fast forward a couple years later, we're already seeing some pretty good success. And most of the investing that I've done in this channel has been pretty basic, pretty fundamental, pretty basic stuff that most people just follow, and it does well over time. We're not, focusing on any meme stocks here. We're focused on long-term, good quality companies, and that's what we're doing here. So I got a couple portfolios we're going to cover today, so it's going to be a bit of a longer video, so I do apologize for that. But I'll be showing you guys all my returns. I'll be showing you guys the stocks I hold, how each individual stock has done, and I'll show you guys like the dividend income and whatnot, and how the stock portfolio has basically grown since we first started investing. So before we jump in the video and before we get started, I just want to say really quickly, if you guys do want to sign up to Wealthsimple and Wealthsimple Trade, which are the two main platforms that I use to buy my Canadian stocks, I'll put links in the description of the video if you guys want to support the channel. So those are there if you guys want to check them out. And there's some cool bonuses for you guys as well. But other than that, guys, let's jump inside the first portfolio. And the first portfolio we're going to be focusing on is going to be a Wealthsimple Invest account. And this is going to be the first account that I actually started investing with. So let's jump in it and let's see how the portfolio has basically been performing. Alright guys, what's up, how's it going? We're inside the first portfolio that we're going to talk about today, and this is the Wealthsimple Invest portfolio. So this is using the robo-advisor. I built this portfolio way back in the beginning of February of 2019. In the beginning of 2019 is when I first started investing, and you can see when this big little jump happened in the beginning. This is when I would say in the March of 2019 is when I first started investing. So as you guys can see, over the years, I've really aggressively been saving my money. I did have a little bit of money saved up before I started investing, but it wasn't very much. But through aggressively saving my money, getting my personal finances in check, and just kind of working on making as much money as I possibly can within reason, I've basically been able to build these portfolios and get my money to where it is today. It took a lot of work, it took a lot of effort, but we finally got there. And the robo-advisor is basically what I use in the beginning to generate some income without really knowing anything about stocks. And for any of you guys who are just getting started, the robo-advisor is a perfect option to get started with, and I highly recommend it. So we have a total of $56,000 in the robo-advisor, and the portfolio is currently up $11,000. So over the past 2021 would be about 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. In March 2022, I guess it would be the full 3 years of the portfolio, and you've seen a lot of growth in this portfolio, a lot of growth in 2019 from the portfolio, and then when the pandemic hit, a bit of a dip, but then after the pandemic happened, just consistent growth. So you can see here kind of near, I would say, the mid of 2020, it kind of flatlines a little bit, and this is because I stopped putting money inside this portfolio. That's when I first started getting serious with the dividend portfolio. So we still see some growth, we still see some money growing over time, but I've just been putting less of my own money in there. So I just kind of want to point that out. If I would have kept putting my own money, we'd see that growth still going in there. But this is a great option for anybody who's just getting started. The total return of the portfolio, I'll just show you guys really quickly here, is 24% over the past 2.5 years that we've been investing inside the portfolio. So pretty good gains overall. If you view the holdings of the portfolio, we'll go over some of the ETFs here. And I'm going to show you guys some things on why I kind of want to move the Wealthsimple Invest account over to the Wealthsimple Trade account kind of in the future. So you can see the biggest earners inside this portfolio is the American markets. And the American markets, I've kind of come to learn to understand that the growth from the American markets are really good for somebody who really wants to grow their portfolio as quickly as possible, especially if you're younger like I am. And I've really been looking at adding more of my portfolios into some of these American growth-based stocks. And, an ETF like VTI or VFE, which I hold inside my dividend fund, as you guys will see later in this video, those type of ETFs are really looking really good for me, especially inside of TFSA. So I've been kind of moving more towards that direction, as well as, the big Canadian dividend stocks like I always talk about. Now going down here, we have XCF, which is a more international fund as well. That one's done pretty good at 17% gain. Now these emerging markets are kind of the interesting ones, and I don't really like these inside the portfolio. Now the good news is they don't have a ton of them with only $10,000. But still, if I had $10,000 and maybe a global fund or an American fund, we've seen a lot more growth. And emerging markets obviously got hit pretty hard over the past, I guess, year or two. So that's something to understand too, and they will recover at some point. But I just like the more consistent growth that the American markets or the Canadian market has. Even the Canadian markets here, if you go to XIC, which is the Canadian market ETF that they invest into, it's got a growth of 26%. So even the Canadian markets look a little more attractive than some of these global markets. And at the end of the day, I don't think I need that much diversification. Maybe when I get my portfolio to be like a lot bigger, I might look for some more global diversification for, just in case kind of thing. But in the meantime, I'm perfectly fine with owning Canadian stocks, US stocks, and that's pretty much it for the time being. And then maybe over time I can diversify a little bit internationally. But these are the big ones, and you guys can see just the Canadian ones and the US ones have done really well. And then going towards the bottom of the portfolio, they have some bonds, which I'm not a big fan of bonds, but unfortunately you can't. They make you hold at least 10% of your portfolio in bonds. So bonds are also something you can do to diversify. And once again, I might put some percent of my portfolio in the future as my portfolio gets quite large, like when I get older. I might do that, I might not, I don't know. But they have ZFL, and they have a gold, I guess a gold little ETF here, which is, once again, I'm not really too interested in gold, but they decided to do it just for diversification. And as you guys can see, that's the main theme of Wealthsimple Invest, is they want to diversify your portfolio for long-term holding. And that's really important if you kind of want, for that long-term, for somebody who's not paying attention. But because I want to aggressively grow my portfolio, I'm looking more towards kind of focusing on Canadian and US stocks, and you're going to see that when we talk about the Wealthsimple trade account. But that's a quick little update on the Wealthsimple Invest portfolio. And once again, it's a portfolio of $56,000, up $11,000 so far in the portfolio. Alright guys, that's a quick little recap of my Wealthsimple Invest portfolio. And keep in mind, the Wealthsimple Invest portfolio really was something I started when I just didn't really know anything about investing. I wanted to get started with earning some income. I didn't really know anything specific. I didn't know how I wanted to build a portfolio. I just wanted to get started. So that's when I used a robo-advisor, and I had some pretty good success with it, as you guys can see. So if you guys aren't super familiar with stocks, so you don't really care to learn too much, or you just want a more passive way to grow your money, check out a robo-advisor like Wealthsimple Invest. It works really well. Once again, a link in the description of this video if you guys want to sign up. But over time, I probably will be transferring some of the ETFs and some of the ETFs that I hold in there and putting them more in my dividend portfolio, since I'm more favoring a dividend growth-based portfolio, which is the next portfolio we're going to cover in this video. So this is going to be my Wealthsimple trade account, and this is my other big account that I have, and this account is focused on dividend growth. This is a dividend portfolio and a dividend growth portfolio. So we're focusing on growth of stock appreciation, we're focusing on dividend income, and how that dividend income can grow over time. So this is my main preferred way of investing, and after I learned more about investing, and I familiarized myself with dividend investing and growth investing and whatnot, I kind of fell somewhere in the middle. So this is kind of basically what I'm doing with this portfolio. So let's jump inside the portfolio, and I'll show you guys how our stocks have been doing. I'll show you guys the holdings, and I'll show you guys how much dividend income we've been earning since we first started investing. Switch gears a little bit and talk about the Wealthsimple trade account, and this is the main account I've been kind of built this YouTube channel along. And if you guys aren't familiar with the channel, but I'm sure most of you guys are, because I know most of you guys who watch my channel are people who have been with me for the beginning, and I thank you guys very much for that. But we built this channel around the dividend portfolio, and that was dividend investing, dividend growth investing, and just combination of growth investing in general has really interested me, and this is why I started this portfolio. So once again, this is a dividend growth focused portfolio. So dividend income in the short term, but more interested in growing long term with stock appreciation and dividend growth. So it's kind of doing a bit of both here. And we have two portfolio, I guess it's one portfolio split across two accounts. We have the TFSA, which is the other half of our TFSA that we didn't max from the Wealthsimple Invest account. So we had a little bit of room left over. So I put some of this portfolio in the TFSA, and then I put once we filled up the TFSA contribution room, we just kind of expanded this into a personal account. So that's why we have two here, but they're really the same portfolio. We'll talk about the big TFSA first, since we can cover the returns. And the personal account is pretty much the same thing, just a couple extra, just because we filled up the TFSA. So the same stocks we have inside this TFSA is the same stocks we have in that $6,000 personal account. So I'm probably not going to cover that account. I'll just cover this one because not much is going in the account. It's brand new. Nothing really has happened over the past couple months. We can see the much more bigger picture with this account. So it's $31,000. And if we go over the past day, the TFSA is down $80, which is 0%. If we go over the past week, it's about, once again, around zero with a little bit plus. Over the past month, it's up 1%. So the stock market has kind of been pretty flatlined for our Canadian stocks and US stocks over the past month, with a tiny little bit of growth. Over the past 3 months, we're up 5%, which is about $1,500, almost $1,600, which has been pretty good. And over the past year, it's up 19%, which is $5,000. And then all time, it's up 19% once again. And we've seen a lot of growth inside this portfolio since we've pretty much been, we started it just before the pandemic. And then throughout the pandemic, we've just been throwing as much money as possible. And that's why this portfolio is, I guess, aggressively growing more than the other one. So you can see how through investing through a pandemic really will help your portfolio grow, especially when the recovery starts to happen, which we've kind of seen this year. But it's been slow and consistent growth, but I'm pretty happy with it. And we'll talk about some of the stocks here. So here's, and if you guys don't know, I am using the desktop version of Wealthsimple Trade app. They do have a mobile app and a desktop version, whatever one you guys want to use. I usually use the desktop one when I'm doing these videos because it's just easy to ship. It's more easier for me to share you guys with the portfolio and you guys can see it more clearly. So here are the stocks we hold. The main theme of the portfolio is to hold two main ETFs at the bottom, which we'll cover first. And this is VFE, which is my US based stocks. And the more I learn about, I kind of get an idea of the future and stuff like that, the more I want to hold more US stocks in my TFSA. And this is something I'm going to be working towards. And I'm going to be having maybe a higher allocation of US stocks, maybe something around 70% US or 60% US and 40 to 30% Canadian in the TFSA. And then in the personal account, we'll focus. I still want to focus on US stocks, but I still want to have maybe a little bit more dividend stocks in that personal account that are Canadian based. But we guys can see VFE has some pretty good returns, 13% over the past year. We did start investing in VFE a little bit on the later side. So we didn't buy it at the start. So that's why it looks like VDY has outperformed VFE. But technically VFE has outperformed VDY. It's just that we didn't start investing until 6 or 7 months ago or something like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Then we have VDY, which is our main Canadian-based high dividend yield index, and this is giving us a monthly dividend. It also has lots of dividend growth, a lot of big companies. It's got the banks, it's got the utility companies, all those standard Canadian dividend stocks. And then I have some individual shares here of some different stocks that I've kind of been buying. And over time, as I get more familiar with some individual stocks I'm going to hold, I might kind of put more attention away from VDY and just focus on some of the holdings I want to hold. But for now, until I get a better idea what I want to hold, I'm going to keep buying VDY. And I recommend you guys do the same. There's nothing wrong with buying and holding ETFs and then buying some individual shares if you want to do it that way. It's just up to you guys. So we have stocks like TD that we've been buying, which has done really well for us. TD is one of my favorite dividend stocks and my favorite bank stock. We have TELUS, which has been doing pretty good. We have Shaw Communications, which jumped up a lot. I don't have a lot of shares of it, and I probably will sell these and put them into US stocks or something later on. But it's done pretty well with that big jump that happened. I think it was the beginning of this year, I believe it was. And then we have Severa Corp, which has been really, really good growth-based monthly dividend stock, up 34%. It's one of the only stocks I hold in the healthcare industry, and I think I might keep buying this as time goes on. Then we have TransAlta Renewables, which goes into some energy companies and whatnot, doing pretty decently for us. It's another monthly dividend stock. And then we have some REITs here like RioCan, H&R REIT, which has done pretty good. Once the REITs recover back to where they will be before pre-pandemic levels, I'll probably sell them or sell some of them and put them into something else. And then we have Manulife, which I've been buying into on a regular basis. We have Fortis, which has done pretty good. Once again, another defensive utility-based stock. And then Enbridge, everybody knows Enbridge. Really good company. I do hold a lot into VDY, so I don't buy too much individually. And we have CNR, BIP.UN, Brookfield Infrastructure. I'm probably going to sell just because it's not as good of a consistent dividend growth stock. I've looked at its history and stuff, and it's a good stock. It's done well, but I want to favor more growth-based stocks, more consistent ones. So I'm probably going to sell that at some point in time. And as you guys can see, it hasn't done too that great, really. It's only up 2%. It's been kind of up and down a lot. And then we have ATD.B, which has been booming lately. This is a stock I've been mentioning. A lot of people have been mentioning, including myself, is going to do well, and I still think it's going to do well. And this is really a good definition of the kind of individual stocks I'm going to start buying. It's more growth-based dividend growth stocks. And this is what ATD.B is. Very good stock growth, very good low payout ratios. Companies doing really well, really lots of expansions. And they are aggressively growing their dividend at a crazy volume. So, all those things kind of go hand in hand. That's kind of what I'm looking for. They have AQN, which is once again just a good dividend growth-based company. Had a little bit of a dip recently, but still a good company at the end of the day. And that pretty much makes the most of my dividend growth-based portfolio. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So if you guys have any questions about this portfolio, just let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them for you guys. Okay, so that's the two portfolios. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I showed you guys the Wealthsimple Invest portfolio, which is my old robo-advisor one that I'm probably going to switch over to the Wealthsimple Trade one over time, probably within towards the end of this year and next year. And I showed you guys the Wealthsimple Trade, my dividend-based portfolio. Now, before we end the video, I'm just going to give you guys a quick little recap on the dividends I've earned inside that portfolio. So you guys can just kind of see how the portfolio has been going over time since we first started investing. And just to do a quick little recap, this is the Wealthsimple Trade dividend-based portfolio, and that's what we're going to be covering here. And last but not least, I always like to cover the dividend income of the portfolio to show you guys how. And keep in mind, this is just the dividend growth portfolio. This isn't the Wealthsimple Invest account. I do get dividends from the Wealthsimple Invest account, but I think it's like once or twice a year the ETFs pay out. So I'm not really focused on that, and I don't track that, even though technically it is passive income. I just kind of keep that portfolio separate. So this is just the dividend growth based portfolio that I've been growing. And as you guys can see, the dividend income has been pretty consistent inside the portfolio. We still have a few. I think we have one or two big dividends coming towards the end of July, so that's not 100% updated completely. We have $111 so far, but I think we still have a big dividend from TD and some other stocks as well, so that might go up to like 130 or something like that. But you guys can see good consistent growth with the dividend growth of the portfolio. If you go with the graph here, you guys can see how the dividend income has just been consistently growing, and there's been lots of growth inside the portfolio, and that's the main focus. It's stock growth, dividend growth, and increasing that monthly yield over time. I'm not getting too crazy with it. I'm not getting too aggressive. I just want consistent growth, and at the end of the day, I just want to supplement my income so that my money is basically growing on its own, and I'm getting the best of both worlds, and that's the main focus of this portfolio. And if we go down at the bottom here, we have total dividends of $772. And that's been all these months basically added up together. So that doesn't sound like a lot of money for 19 months of investing, but once again, it's all about growth. And as you guys can see, once we got to like the 17, 18, and 19 month, we're pretty much hitting $100 a month now. So that's going to make that $700 go up quite a bit. And we are reinvesting all our dividends to get that nice, good compound growth. And that's how that graph has basically, just kept shooting up over time. So I always like to cover the dividend income because everybody likes to see it. It's always like nice to see the numbers growing over time. So good dividend growth inside the portfolio and good stock appreciation as well, as you guys have seen. Alright guys, so that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed that little update. I know I don't talk about my entire portfolio a lot on this channel, and mostly that is because of the fact that I know the robo-advisor isn't really super interesting. It's just a really basic portfolio, but I do know some of you guys mention all the time that you want to see updates on that. So I'll start doing like a monthly update maybe so you guys can see how the portfolio has been growing. And then over time, when we eventually kind of put the two portfolios together, it'll just be a little bit easier to track from there, and it'll be more in stocks I want to hold kind of thing. But anyways guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you guys want to subscribe and be notified when I publish new videos on this channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. But other than that guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care. I'll see you guys later, and have yourself a good weekend.